se, at jeg kan vi har en masse, vi skal nå.
Ja, ja.
Så får jeg dig reddet løs fra sengen af, så kommer du ned for at sidde stille.
Jeg ligger her så. Du må godt lave nogle kaffe for mig. Bestil her kaffe, og når morgen er klar.
Så gå ud og lave det, skat.
Du kan da lave det til mig.
Men det var ikke fordi, jeg stod op til noget.
Nej, men jeg laver da tit til dig, skat.
Gør du det?
Ja da.
Det gør du ej.
Jo, jeg gør det så.
Nej.
Jo, det var mange, så står der ikke op sammen med mig. Nej, jeg har lavet alt muligt til dig.
Jeg gør det også til dig.
Ja, ja. Ja.
Nej, for det er ligesom, at man bare gør det meget. Altså, er du lige, så det gør det der.
Nej.
Bestemt ikke.
Nej,
jeg er fjollet at komme ned og
sætte
sig
bare,
ind til
at bare det ikke skal stå.
Hi, my name is Marquez Brownlee, and I have not paid for electricity in a year. I have a bunch of electrical appliances, computers, game console, TVs, air conditioning, and I drive an electric car to and from work every single day and charge it home. $0 bill. So I know I had a lot of questions about how this stuff worked, how much it cost, how much it generated, a whole bunch of that stuff before I got started, and now I finally have all the answers. Let's get into it. So I have had solar panels on my roof at home for the past 12 months now, and I waited this long specifically because now I've seen all 4 seasons and I've observed a wide variety of performance, and I've run all the numbers and I have a lot of thoughts about them, so I want to share them. So first of all, for those familiar, there are a lot of options for solar systems at home. I like that they're called solar systems too. But there are a lot of different companies who make solar systems to power all the electrical needs of a home, including an electric car. So I know I wanted to do this for a while, since the whole point for me was to be able to drive electric for the foreseeable future and actually be able to know that the energy is coming from a sustainable source, the sun. But first, it's actually important to understand that a big part of this solar system is batteries as well. So a normal house is connected to the electrical grid, and whenever something in the house, whether it's a light bulb or a computer or an appliance, calls for electricity, it pulls from the grid and spins up a meter on the side of the house that tallies how much you've pulled. Then at the end of the month, you get billed for how much electricity you've used. Great. Now, if you just add solar panels to this house, when the sun shines during the day on those tiles, it can use that electricity to directly power things in the house. Now, of course, if it's cloudy or if you have a bunch of stuff on all at once and the demand is more than the power from the sun is providing, then it'll pull the rest of what it needs from the grid and spin the meter as well. But most importantly, as soon as the sun goes down, the electricity generated goes to zero. And it just so happens that most people come home from work as the sun is going down, and that's when they turn on all the lights and do the laundry and charge the car, etc. So you're still going to be pulling from the grid for most stuff. Now, that's actually fine for most people, because if the goal, which a lot of people's goal is to have a $0 electricity bill, then this can actually be accomplished, because the power company will, hopefully, depending on where you live, but ideally be running something called net metering. So what this means is when the sun shines on the roof and excess electricity is being generated because nobody's home, the house actually spins the electrical meter backwards as it sends extra electricity back to the grid. Then when the sun goes down and you get home and use a bunch of electricity from the grid, the meter spins back forwards. And so ideally the total usage is zero, net zero. That's how you end up with the $0 electricity bill, which is super cool. But what if you want to sort of graduate to the next level of sustainability? What if you want to be completely independent of the grid, totally off the grid? Well, that's when batteries come in. So add battery storage to this system, and now the loop is complete. So when the sun shines during the day and you're not home, it fills up the batteries, effectively storing sunshine energy. And then when you get home and the sun goes down, you can keep using that extra solar energy that you stored with all the electrical needs that you have until the next morning when the sun comes out again and starts filling up those batteries again. So with a system like this, you can theoretically not just have a $0 power bill, but never actually pull from the grid at all. You're completely self-sustainable. You never have to worry about a power outage ever again. You won't even know if a power outage happens. That is the off-the-grid dream, theoretically anyway. At the beginning of this process, that was my goal. So there's a lot of different options for solar system setups with different solar tile manufacturers and different battery manufacturers and different companies that will install all these things. And there's 1,000 different combos that you could piece together with different companies with different offers in your area to make something that works. I kind of went with kind of a crazy but also a made sense solution, which is just one company for everything, which would be Tesla. So it is a Tesla solar roof, Tesla power walls for batteries, and then the Tesla app to monitor and control everything. And really the main reason I went this route was for simplicity and integration. I paid a price premium for this. This was not the cheapest option. You can spec a much cheaper combo of solar panels and batteries and things like that. But just to have everything on the same page and have everything talking to each other seamlessly, this made the most sense. So then once I decided to go with Tesla, then the other choice you might have heard about is either solar panels bolted to the roof or these actual solar tiles, which are new roof tiles that are actually hundreds of tiny solar panels themselves all interconnected to make a normal looking roof that's actually a giant solar panel. And that is the one that I went for. And this is why I say this was a crazy option, because I did not actually need a new roof. Most people who go with the solar tiles option would either have an old roof that needs replacing soon, or they're like about to build a new house and this will be the new roof that they put on it. I wasn't in either of those situations, but also this was the way to get by far the largest total array with the most coverage, with as many pitches as my roof has. And also aesthetically, it looks really good too, I gotta say. There's curb appeal. Either way, I make my decision. I'm going with the solar roof. I'm going Tesla's full integrated setup. From there, not gonna lie, it is quite a process. There is a lot of paperwork and hoops to jump through. Also with Teslas, they've been kind of in and out of reliability. Like over the years, they've been on and off with actually making this product. They've paused installations for a while. It was briefly canceled and then it came back and there were supply chain issues. I remember reading about all this and I was kind of worried. But for whatever reason, when I ordered, which was in 2021, basically everything went perfectly smooth, as well as it could have gone. You get assigned a Tesla advisor just like for your project, for your solar project. They walk you through the whole process from the paperwork with the town from beginning to end. So there was an ordering process, inspection, a measuring process, quotes, filling out paperwork with the town. You actually, when you're first trying to get an estimate, you actually submit your address and they go look on Google Images and look at your roof with satellite imagery and give you an initial quote. Then once you're locked in and you decide you want to go through with it, they'll actually come to your home with professionals and actually measure it and then give you a precise real quote and then start to order all the materials. You eventually get to the point where you get an install date, you start scheduling things out, and then they come through with all the boxes of solar panels, and they took up my whole driveway for a couple days. There are people who have actually walked through this entire process in great detail. I'll try to link a good one below on YouTube. But at the end of the day, for me, the process I started when I signed the purchase agreement, which was in November 2021, and finished with the activation of the system in July 2022. So 8 months. But now that it's done, we get to nerd out about the numbers. Sorry in advance to anyone who doesn't like numbers. I feel like that's really the only way to explain how good it is and what's happening with them. So there's about to be a lot of them. Let's get into it. So first of all, the specs, right? So this is a 29.313 kilowatt solar array size. Your boy's got a big roof. And then there are 3 Powerwall 3s, which totals 40.5 kilowatt hours. And then this is the Tesla app where all of the learnings and all of the numbers happen. When the system first got activated, I just remember like seeing it light up in the app for the first time, the numbers jump up, and just kind of get, I could stare at the app for a while. Like I could really get lost in the numbers. Maybe it's just because I'm a numbers person, but there's a lot going on, and it was exciting to see it all in real time and learn a lot of stuff. So I think the app is really well done, and it lets you visualize how much energy the solar array is currently capturing, how much energy the home is using, and the state of charge and power output or input of the Powerwall batteries. And then of course anything happening with the electrical grid. So you can see at this exact moment in time, on a sunny morning in July, the panels are bringing in 7 kilowatts of power, 5 of which are powering the house, the last 2 of which are going into the Powerwalls, which are 38% full, and it's not touching the grid at all. There's already a lot of terms being thrown around here. Here's a good way of thinking about it. Kilowatts is a measure of power, so 1 kilowatt is 1,000 watts. A kilowatt hour, though, is a unit of energy collected. So a Tesla Model S battery, for example, is roughly 100 kilowatt hours. And so if that battery were to output 100 kilowatts for an hour, then it would be at 0. So for my setup, the Powerwall 3, each one is about 13.5 kilowatt hours each. So that totals 40.5 kilowatt hours since I have 3. And they support a maximum power output, in or out, of 15.5 kilowatts. And then the solar system being 29.3 kilowatts means that basically it seems like the theoretical maximum of the electricity that can be collected at any one time is 29.3 kilowatts. But as you're about to see a little bit later, that number may or may not be accurate. Either way, just hanging out in the Tesla app for a while, which you do a lot for the first few weeks, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about what takes a lot of energy, what takes a little bit of energy. Some of it, which did surprise me. I also learned that sort of the basic existence level for this house is 400 watts of power, just because things are plugged in. Even if every light is off, it just sort of sits around 400 watts. But charging a phone or turning on a light or something like that basically doesn't make a dent at all. It doesn't show up in the app. Turning on a TV might only take about 100 watts or 0.1 kilowatts. A computer can pull 300 to 500 watts if it's taking a lot of power. But surprisingly, the big spikes come from the microwave and the toaster, for sure. But the 2 absolute biggest draws of electricity in this house, by far, and I think probably with a lot of others, are number 2, air conditioning, and number 1, by a country mile, is charging the electric car. I think the best way to look at this is actually by seasons. So like I said, the system got activated in
Come on, sir.
Hey folks, this is Riker with a summary of today's Diablo 4 dev campfire chat, which was a campfire chat plus, and it was just a huge win for the devs and for the community. I think this is the best campfire chat yet. We're seeing lots of stuff that are going to make a lot of players happy. We're seeing explanations for things. We get a more solid idea of developer intent and a hint of where things are going in the future. So August 2nd is when we're going to get the full patch notes, and the patch 1.1.1 will release on August 8th. On the stream today, joining Game Director Joe Shelley and Associate Game Director Joe Pipora was Adam Jackson, Lead Class Designer. A big focus of patch 1.1.1 is increasing the effectiveness of Sorcerer and Barbarian. For Sorc, they want to reduce the amount of Kiss Curse mechanics, which is basically we give you this buff, but there's this penalty at the same time. For instance, Hydras, you have an extra Hydra head, but Hydras last a less amount of time. So the Sorc has a lot of these things, and they're making a number of changes to different mechanics for the Sorc, so that now, instead of you getting that curse as well, they're either removing the curse or even replacing it with an additional buff. For instance, in the case of the Hydra heads, that's the serpentine aspect, right, that you can get. It's going to give you the extra head, and it's going to actually increase the duration as well. They're also looking at a number of ways of increasing the Sorc's late-game survivability, which is an often repeated issue for the Sorcerer. For the Barbarian, across the board, they are making some significant improvements to the Barb's ability to generate Fury. This is going to help as of early game. From betas, I was saying Druid and Barbarian, early game, they suffer. It would be nice if that experience was better. And they're actually making, again, more Fury generation buffs, which they done previously, to both these classes. But Barb is the greater focus this patch. I believe we were seeing something like 30%, roughly, bonuses to Fury generation, pretty much across all the basic skills. And then for late game, they wanted to change some of the Barbarian uniques to make them more attractive. Across the board on all classes, they want to buff weaker builds to be more competitive. They want to buff uniques across the board. They feel like uniques are not quite hitting the mark. They don't want uniques to be all your best in slot gear, but they want there to be something unique and attractive about them, and they just feel that a lot of these just aren't hitting that design goal yet. So for a lot of uniques, what they're doing is possibly buffing the unique power, and then additionally replacing one of those baked on affixes that is less desirable and replacing it with one that they know players desire more. So for instance, on the boots, the unique pair of boots does not have inherent move speed, which everyone wants. They tend to be removing one of the less desired affixes like plus all stats and swapping that out for move speed. Also across the board for be it legendaries or be it even some skills, they're changing things that have very narrow usage cases and trying to widen those to be used in a greater variety of builds. For example, for the Sorcerer, the Greater Chain Lightning skill will make Chain Lightning do more damage if it bounces just off of even one enemy, which made it excellent against bosses, but really just against that single target case. Now, any bounce off anything will make it deal increased damage, so that it is more generally useful. Longer term goals, not for patch 1.1.1, but just for the future, they want to bring greater parity between the damage types. They acknowledge that vulnerable and crit are way too focused on. The meta right now is make enemies vulnerable and then stack a bunch of crits so that you're dealing crit damage to vulnerable enemies. But they also have damage over time, which doesn't scale with crit. They also have overpower, which doesn't scale with pretty much anything, and they want these to also be viable ways to build your character. They want to ensure that every way of dealing damage has parity, so this is a longer term goal that they're working towards. They also want to address that a number of ways of dealing damage don't scale. So for instance, a legendary affix that might make something spawn, like on a Barbarian, you're summoning Twisters with your Whirlwind. Those Twisters, they deal a flat amount of damage based on the aspect, and there's no way for you to scale that damage, so they want to find ways to add scalers so that these builds are more viable in the late game, which is generally when their damage falls off. They want to take a look at ultimates as well. They don't want ultimates to be something that you just pop in order to give yourself a buff or trigger something. They want the ult to be the Not just a means to an end, but the end itself, the end of a bunch of monsters' lives, specifically. They got really granular with the number of changes that they were making. I'm not going to go through every single one. Again, this is a summary, and we're going to get the full patch notes on August 2nd. Most of these are going in the game. They're not committing 100% to all of them, but they said most likely 90 to 100% of these might make it to the full release patch. So for the Sorcerer, Firebolt's going to generate mana better. For the Sorcerer passives, a lot of things are just going to apply in more general cases. You're going to have more uptime on these things. Again, broader application to more builds. For the Paragon board, lots of defensive changes, lots of damage reduction increases. Damage reduction is such a strong affix, so this is going to greatly help late game survivability for Sorc. Also some max life note increases. For the Sorcerer legendary aspects, we're seeing damage buffs to things that are underperforming. Again, removing a lot of the malices, replacing them with buffs, and making a lot more of these apply to more general usage cases. For the Barbarian, again, we're seeing regeneration increases, damage buff to double swing, damage buff to charge, to rupture, to upheaval. These are all underperforming builds. Some of the passives getting reworked and buffed to be more inviting options. On the legendaries, they're trying to make the Earthquake Barb more of a thing, getting more damage reduction and bigger damage bonus there. The Leapquake Barb was a big fantasy in Diablo 3. It jumped around and caused earthquakes wherever you landed. But then we're also getting a few changes to the other classes too. Rogues overall are in a good place, but they're getting a buff to Orso Arrow. In fact, a complete change in its functionality. Now every third cast pierces all enemies. On the Rain of Arrows ultimate, nice buff here. Now it's the first wave that's going to knock down all enemies instead of the second. I'm not sure this is enough to make it a viable choice. The damage just isn't there, but I guess we'll see with a new change. Maybe causing the knockdown on the first wave will allow us to stack more damage for the second. They're buffing the Wind Force, they're buffing the Word of Hakan. Overall, we can see that ranged rogues are trying to get more love here, because clearly Twisting Blades doesn't need any help. For the Druid, again, we're seeing Spirit Generation buff across the board. I'm really curious to see how Barbarian and Druid are going to play now early game with these changes. I always rank them lower for the 1 to 50 for the early game gameplay. These are some significant buffs, because one of the reasons is they just can't generate resource fast enough. We're seeing the increase in passive damage of companion skills, and the Rabies Druid is also getting a buff. For the Necro, they're buffing Bone Spirit by giving it more cooldown reduction. The Wither Paragon board is getting buffed. We're also seeing a change to the... So the way this used to work is that when you would critically sever, you would create a damage pool on the ground. This would be a damage over time effect. The thing is that damage over time effects do not scale with crit. So it's sort of fundamentally incompatible with itself, in which it's asking you to stack crit, but then it's not actually making you benefit from your crit damage. So they're changing it so that now it just has a chance to spawn period without it being tied to crits. And something I really appreciated was Adam basically just saying, this is my bad, I should have realized this a year ago. And these are the little insights that I really appreciate to get into the devs' heads and understand the why of how things got to that point. You know, even it's just an acknowledgement of my bad. Because without that, then I'm left to wonder, okay, well, you know, was it a deliberate choice that they wanted us to stack crit chance and then not benefit from crit damage? And I'll come back to this point a little bit later as well. Aspect of Torment is getting a massive essence generation buff. Minions for both Necro and for Druid are now going to be taking less damage from a number of different attacks. We're even getting a change on one of the Malignant Hearts, the spell-breaking one. Now it's granting you general damage reduction, where it used to be...
So guys, Andrew Tate has gone ahead and done an interview with the amazing
Let's just jump right into this. Andrew Tate.
Long time.
I know, it's been a very long time. Actually, I met you downstairs at the Ritz. George and I were engaged at the time, and I probably was very swept up in George and barely got time to talk to you, but I do remember you being very polite. So it's interesting to fast forward to today, and you were very much in the UK circuit.
Yeah.
Now it seems like your celebrity is kind of really hitting the US market. They're kind of finding you for the first time, picking up a bunch of old clips, and there's a lot of pressure now on conservatives to say something really awful about you.
There seems to be a pressure on everybody, on all sides, to say something awful about me. I kind of feel like I've been placed in a position where there's always someone attacking me every day. But I guess that was built for it.
You seem to be doing pretty well given the circumstances.
I know the truth in my heart, and I know that what I say is the truth, and I understand very well the internet and how it works, and I also think I'm perspicacious enough to understand there's certainly a degree of weaponized virtue, and perhaps a degree of jealousy, and perhaps a few other things are involved in all of these attacks. I don't believe that people who sit and attack somebody for their past, especially something from so long ago, are genuinely virtuous. I I don't think it's about virtue. I think it's about, well, I can get some clicks this way, or I can get some views that way, or he did the biggest interview ever, or whatever it is. There's certainly some other motivations. And I don't want to say water off a duck's back. I don't want to come across as arrogant. However, I do believe that since the dawn of time, every single king with any kind of empire was constantly at war. And I think if you're going to become one of the most famous people on the internet, you're going to be at war. And you'd be a fool to become massively influential and then cry about the fact that you end up in constant battles. It doesn't matter if you're Napoleon or Charlemagne or Genghis Khan. There's always someone prodding the edges of your empire, trying to find weakness, see what a little bit of land they can take. And I think it's always been the same. And right now, yes, you could say, I to a degree, I certainly have an empire and I'm massively influential. That's a degree of, people who are trying to damage it.
So I did see a mashup clip that we're not going to show because I thought it was unfair. I will say that. Only because there was no context provided to the clips. It was just an extract of something that you said that 10 years ago, something that were literally 10 years ago. Didn't know what year it was from, didn't know who you were talking to, didn't know what context it was, and I've been victimized online by something like that before, where somebody takes something abstract and says, well, this is what must be what she means, until they're provided the full context of the clip. And I also take exception to, I think, digging back 10 years. I don't know who could survive that litmus test. I'm 34 years old today. 10 years ago, today, I think the audience can talk about, they call me puritanic, talk about not drinking. I think the biggest change has been becoming a mother, and it would really be unfair if we went and found Candace at 24 years old, liberal, dancing at One Oak, and said, well, look at these clips of Candace Owens. Fortunately, I had no cameras in my face 10 years ago. You somehow did. So I think it's a bit unfair. I also think that some of the critique that is coming your way is coming from people who are well-intentioned, like they actually don't perceive, maybe perhaps, okay, this is 10 years ago, what the context is, has he changed since? So I will ask the question, and we are going to get into some of those clips. You said you're an open book. How have you transformed? I've seen changes just, I think, in the last 5 years. Who are you today? How have you transformed?
That's a really good question. It's also very important when you talk about Candace from 10 years ago. The idea that you did something 10 years ago, which you no longer agree with, is one thing. The second thing is to come along, you now have no value to add to the world. It would be massively unfair, right? Everybody changes, and that's fine. I'm not the kind of person who's going to sit and apologize for his past. I believe all's well that ends well. I believe we're humans and we grow and we learn. I'd be a fool and I'd be disingenuous to sit here and pretend I was sorry for something I did in the past, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be very honest to everyone at home. I've talked at length for a very long time about my history and the fact I used to run a webcam business, and I don't feel guilty for that. I know that's maybe what they want from me. I don't feel sorry for that. I've never hurt anybody. It has nothing to do with my current criminal case. Everybody who worked for me was very positive. In fact, my #1 supporter is currently online, and my best lifelong friends and some of the letters I got in jail were from people who worked for me at that time, and I had a business. And I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend that I feel guilty or I feel sorry for that. I'm from a low-income background. I did what I had to do to survive. And truthfully, all in all, being very honest, I don't think what I did was really that bad. And I want to say that, and I know people are going to lose their minds for it, but I didn't sell drugs. I didn't kill anybody. I mean, what did I do? I found a gap in the market. I had some people organize some accounts on an internet website. That's what I did. And they're going to try and criticize me and crucify me for the next 100 years because of it, because of clips that were made 10 years ago. I think it's disingenuous, and I don't think anyone actually really cares about the virtue of it, because nobody who's involved in my life back then is complaining about anything. I think it's just an attack on me. And certainly we learn and we grow and we change, but it's very interesting how hypocritical the idea of looking at somebody's life over such a long period actually is. I mean, we can look at Donald Trump, right? Who I'm a fan of. I know you've had your ups and downs with him. But in the conservative sphere, he's pretty well respected. Donald Trump used to own the Miss Universe pageant. Are we going to criticize him? Are we going to crucify him? What about the girls he had in Miss Universe who decided to go on and do Playboy magazine? Is he a bad person now? Why? Well, that's not Christian values, right? People are messy, and life is messy, and nothing is completely clean. And this idea that you're going to find somebody, and 10 or 11 years ago they did something which might even be slightly distasteful, not even illegal, and you're going to crucify him forever, I just don't believe that's genuine virtue. I think it's just a fact.
I do think what's happening right now is they are wrongly conflating you having run a webcam business, however long it was ago, to the criminal cases happening in Romania. And this is why, interjecting in my voice, when people were saying, he's not a conservative, he's not a Christian. I don't understand why Christians are giving him a platform.
And I'm very sorry to interrupt. I'm very sorry to interrupt you. But yeah, I will say right now, I would never consider myself a conservative from that standpoint.
Right.
I'm a rational actor. I'm a reasonable person. I'm intelligent. I use my brain. And I guess that makes me aligned with many conservative issues overall because the other side have lost their mind. I don't wake up and stand there as a conservative figure. I don't consider myself a conservative figure. I just ended up aligning with them on a lot of core issues because I'm a forward-thinking, rational person. But I'm certainly not a I don't stand up and say, hey, I'm a conservative. I'm not interested in whether the conservative want to embrace me from that perspective or not. I have no interest in that. I wasn't even particularly political until my recent debacle where I realized a lot of things about the world and how avoiding politics will not save me, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's one of the things I pointed out. I said, he's never said he was conservative. Why are we? He is not identifying as a Christian. So why are we suddenly using that as whether or not a Christian, a conservative, can put him on a platform and talk about something that is relevant? And something that is relevant is whether or not you are being wrongly or unfairly persecuted by a government. I have spoken on my platform after examining the charges against Harvey Weinstein. He's clearly not a conservative. He's about as far left as it really gets. That doesn't mean that I don't have an interest in whether or not he's guilty or not guilty and whether or not he was persecuted because of a overtly political movement like Me Too. So I do not like that these things are being conflated, but I want to park that aside because we are going to get into your case and just stick with what you just said about the webcam business. So you say you don't have any guilt for it.
I'm not sorry. I don't operate in that frame. I don't think it's an intelligent way for a man to go through life to say, I'm sorry. At a younger age, I did the best I could possibly do, and I did the best I believed at the time. And you grow from it and you learn, and perhaps there's times in your life where you look back and think, well, maybe I would have done this differently, because hindsight's always 20/20. But every rapper sold drugs. Like, you get to a certain stage in your career where you no longer sell drugs and you don't do it anymore, but that's part of the life journey, and life's messy. And I'm not going to sit here and apologize to any conservative who wants to sit me down and try and give me some moral high ground garbage. I'm not going to listen to it. I had a very rough upbringing, a very tough life, and it could have been so much worse in so many ways. I've done nothing illegal. I've never hurt anybody. Everybody who was involved in my life back then are massive supporters of me, and I think it's very hypocritical for someone to sit, look at a situation they were not involved in and don't understand, look at old clips taken out of context, and then tell me and a whole bunch of people who were in my life who were all perfectly happy that something bad happened and something wrong happened. I don't think that's genuine. And for that reason, I'm not going to sit and be preached to by these people who are imperfect themselves. Everybody's imperfect. And another thing that's really important, we talk about Christian values. I also think that I find it very interesting and ironic that I'm somehow the problem. And that these Christians feel like they need to come and attack me now in the name of Christian values. I think Christianity has much bigger problems than any faiths in most ways. I think they have much bigger problems that are happening in their churches on a daily. I think you can go to a Christian church in a lot of America and be very disappointed in what you've seen. I don't think I'm the problem with Christianity. And yeah, it's very interesting. But there was a webcam company, and I've
Let's just
watch them now, you'd be like, what? For what? What is that, a bikini? Like, it's nothing. It's amazing how quickly it has degenerated here, saying, if I've committed a crime, put me in jail. God not test your mental resilience. I think that would be a very amateur way to view the world, that you can now become one of the most famous men in the world who talks about mental discipline and mental resilience, and God's not going to test it. I think God's going to come along and say, okay, you want to be Mr. Famous. All right, let's see what you have. So I believed it was a chance to show God and show my ancestors and show my father that I am the man I say I am. And it's amazing how much strength you can draw from that, because I don't think many men especially understand that even if you don't have the strength to be a hero for yourself, you should have enough discipline and enough honor to want to be a hero for somebody else. And if you have other people you truly respect, you should want to be a hero for them. And I think that's the masculine imperative. If someone's going to attack your wife, that's when you become a hero. For her. You have to. What kind of man are you if you're not? And you can apply that to other things. If you apply that to your ancestors, you apply that to God, or you apply that to your beliefs or your core principles as a man, then you can be a hero anytime you want. So
it's so funny that you say that, because it really does. Everything goes back to biology. I think about this all the time. No matter how much sociology is behind everything, telling men to act like women and women to act like men. At the end of the day, women want a masculine man. And when they don't have a masculine man and they beat their man into submission, they're not attracted to them anymore. There's a tail in between.
Yeah.
It's just not attractive anymore. And I used to made me think of this boyfriend that I had when you were talking about, you know, just defending the realm, this sort of responsibility that men have. And I remember sitting there realizing that I had to break up with him because I thought that if somebody burst through the door with a gun, I was going to have to be the one to defend him. This was just such a flower.
100%.
And it's in society is yet blaring at men to do the opposite. And
Well, they're trying to confuse us.
This is why I think you have a platform. This is my whole theory that I built in my head about why you have a platform, is because Lena Dunham came before you, right? And I think that for years, men were told to act like sissies. Men were told to put your tail between your legs. That was the message, the agreed upon message that came with, you know, Hillary Clinton running, the Me Too, all of these things where men were basically told that if you have a masculine instinct, you're guilty.
Yep.
And then, inevitably, because there is an equilibrium in this world, because there was Lena Dunham's, because there were Taylor Swift's, because there was the Girl Squads, eventually what would have to happen was that it was going to have to be evened out by someone saying, no, F that, be a man.
Yeah, and I don't feel guilty for being a man, and I don't think any man should.
No, I don't think so either.
And I think that the most annoying thing about all of this is just how genuinely hypocritical it is. Because there's all this feminine movement, and we don't need men, and men don't matter, etc. That's
Music to many, the whole, it's a agreed upon message that men suck.
Absolutely, and it's only in the most favorable possible circumstances where females will say that. And that's what's so disingenuous about it, because as soon as things actually begin to get hard, the closer we get to the realities of life, the closer we get to the unfortunate circumstances of the world, and they exist in many places, the faster you'll see people look for traditional masculinity to protect them. So it's not even like it's a genuine belief. That's what's so upsetting about it, is that it's just, I don't know if these people are delusional or if they're deliberately hypocritical. I'm not sure which one it is.
I think they're brainwashed. I think it's a two-pronged approach. I think it's the cultural messaging, and also in the education system, they're actively learning that this, like, feminism is what you need to aspire towards. Like, when you get out of school, women, you should want to compete with men in climbing the corporate ladder. I actually think there's a mass brainwash that's taking place.
Oh, completely. They want to neuter men. And the way you do that is to empower women to a point where they're now the dominant power, especially in the Western world. I believe we live in a matriarchy. I don't believe it's a patriarchy like we're told it is. I actually believe it's the other way around. I can't think of a single law that benefits men over women, but I can certainly think of some that benefit women over men. I think it's very dangerous to be a man in the world today. I think that if women want to destroy a man, it's extremely easy to do. We can look at my current scenario and situation I'm in, and many other men are in the same scenario. I can't think of many examples of a man falsely accusing a woman of something and her losing her entire life. Well, I can certainly think of ones the other way around. So, yeah, they want to turn men into eunuchs because their intention is to make us all slaves. And I say that, and people, it rolls off my tongue, and people just hear it, and they don't actually think about what I'm saying. Their intention is to turn men into eunuchs because they want to make us all slaves. I want you to actually understand exactly what I'm saying to you, because at the bottom line of revolution has always been young military-age males, and they don't want them to have enough balls or enough forward thinking or even enough care for anything outside of themselves to do something about it. Another thing people don't understand is that a lot of these attacks and a lot of things they're trying to do with the culture especially, they're trying to inject such innate selfishness inside of people that they don't really care about anything that happens outside of themselves. Because then it's very difficult to give a shit about your community. It's very difficult to have any kind of genuine care about your town or your country or an issue. No, they just want you to be self-absorbed, semi-depressed, because depressed people don't fight that hard, watching porn, living inside of your own mind, convinced that somehow you're oppressed for some reason, on the internet typing tweets. That's what they want you to do. And they're going to try and keep you there. And genuine masculinity, yeah, to a degree it's protective, and to a degree also it has parameters. You can't be a man who doesn't say no. You can't be a man who doesn't have standards for himself and for people around him. I've got labeled as ultra misogynistic because I believe that a man should have standards in his relationship. I believe a man should avoid dishonest people, male and female. You should avoid, if you're a dishonest person, if you lie, if you're going to deceive me, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I was sitting talking on a panel show saying that women who are dishonest and promiscuous are not the kind of woman I'd ever want to associate with, and I was labeled misogynistic for that. So it's crazy how they'll attack you, and they'll attack you so violently, so endlessly, and repeat it so many times in a bid to beat your soul down. That's what they want, especially from me. I truly believe I'm the #1 prize for them to get. If they can get me to just give up. If we can get Andrew Tate to just give up. Being a man's bad. Come on, Andrew, say it. And it's like, it's dangerous, one thing, but it's actually genuinely also sad. When I analyze the situation in the world we're in today, part of me feels sad that we've ended up in this place where the people who are in charge are so evil, and their plans are so heinous, and the consequences so dire that they know they can only implement them if they genuinely remove the warrior spirit from the planet. It's kind of sad.
And the warrior spirit is really important, and it's something that I speak about a lot, that men need to go be men. Even in capacity of my marriage, my husband needs his guy time. I need my girl time. The masculine and feminine, it's very...
Ja. Han er lidt fed. Åh ja. Åh ja. Det var mega hurtigt, mand. Tror du det?
Ja, det kan du.
Nå. Det må vi se.
Så skal vi prøve at køre vores Tesla. Så bytter vi igen. Så vi er vundet. Hey, far!
Over med dig. Hasse, kom lige over til dig selv, ven. Ja, vi kan spille skydespil måske? Nej, stem selv.
Far, jeg vil have en politibil.
Nej.
Nej. Ja, men
Nå, ja, det er godt. Godt, jeg kan godt se. Ja, det er rigtigt. Det er rigtigt.
Nej, far.
Du må godt klare det, fordi det er lidt større
You
rigtigt.
tell everybody.
Jeg skal lige kigge vingerne sejl nu. Når jeg har... Martin og Kinin. Der er den. Der skal plads så mange med sammen. Og der var ikke en hatter. Far, nu må du hjælpe mig. Nu må du hjælpe mig til at skrive
Er det det blå eller det røde, du har taget?
Det er blå.
Det er godt.
Det er røde, ikke? Det. Kig, det er jo blå, det der. Og det røde, det er hvide og deroppe. Martin, kan du ikke se det? Martin,
Jo, men hvorfor?
så kig. Martin og Kinin. Jeg så den traktor. Der.
Jeg prøver lige at tage den.
Wow. Den er fed, den her. Hej.
Altså, fingrene ud af det.
Den er fed.
Fingrene ud af munden, Hasse. Lige nu.
Far.
Jeg gider ikke have fingrene i munden.
Far, vil du nu hjælpe mig igen? Fordi...
Jamen, jeg ved ikke, om jeg kan finde den politi, hvordan jeg kan.
Jo, du skal bare stå.
Jamen, jeg synes, det er lidt sjovt, fordi den plejer der at være her. Er det i det røde spil måske, den plejer at være?
Nej, den der jeg ser politi, og der kommer den heller ikke. Politien har den. Den har jeg.
Ja, prøv lige at kigge videre, ven. Jeg finder lige ud af det.
Kig, hvis der er nogen af det der på, så betyder det, at jeg
Ja, det er
har
rigtigt.
dem. Hvis der ikke er nogen af det her på, så har jeg dem ikke. Kig, far. Nå. Far, kig. Far, kig. Den har jeg ikke endnu. Kig, nu har jeg den.
Ja, det er rigtigt.
Men, og hvis det betyder, at der er noget af det her. Men,
Nå,
det
ja.
her traktor, det er sej.
Jeg tror, jeg har fundet den her. Prøv at se her, Falke. Hvor fanden kunne du tænke dig?
Jeg har det. Kan jeg få 2?
Ja,
De her 2.
okay.
Og jeg vil gerne have den anden nedenunder.
Ja, ja.
Kom så. Så får jeg politibilerne. Og jeg kan glæde mig vildt meget. Far, find til mig.
Ja, ja, vi finder dem med.
Far, må jeg komme hen til dig?
Nej, jeg
Politibil.
skal nok sætte dem over til dig.
Ja, jeg vil bare kigge på politibilerne.
Ja, så skal du.
Så siger jeg, stop the bad guy. You stop the bitty scars. You under the west. You under the west. Stop you bitty scars. Det siger jeg. Hassel. Kig. Au. Dur.
Nu var det gået at have noget mere kaffe til far.
Hvor er der noget kaffe?
Udenfor. Ude i, så tager vi lige til den her med ud. Hente noget kaffe. Her, vel.
Mor. Far, han skal have mere kaffe, men han har lidt. Halløj.
Ja, men jeg skal have mælk i også, skat, eller det der.
Ja. Okay, jeg stiller dem på bordet, og mor skal nok tage dem. What? Så bare skyde ham i stedet. Og så bare skyde ham i stedet. What? Skyd bare dine venner. Nej, det må jeg ikke. Jo, kig.
Jo, det må du faktisk godt der, Hassel. Der må man gerne skyde vanderne.
Hvorfor?
Der må man
Nej,
gerne.
ikke. Han må dybt her. Man må gerne skyde vennerne. Hassel. Kig ind her. Nej, han vil skudt. Skyd ham. Men han har militærtøj på. Når du kom, så kom han og så skød dig. Han kom bare og så skød dig igen. Han er med her. Hej far. Det er der. Hvor kommer politibiler? Hvor der skal være tog.
Den er også to.
Okay, men jeg pegede op og ned. Jeg pegede op og ned. Men far, kan du gå til politi igen der? What? Så skal jeg pege vingen to, jeg vil have. Kan man også få 3? Far, kan man også få 3?
Nej, jeg er ikke endnu. Nu starter vi lige her.
Kan man ikke få 3?
Det kan man godt, men nu starter vi lige sådan her. Vel? Nu prøver vi. Værsgo.
Far, så skal jeg forbi. Jeg skal forbi.
Fordi vi prøver lige noget andet faktisk.
Nej.
Jo, vi prøver lige at tage dem her på igen.
Nej. Jeg kan godt høre.
Ja, vent nu lige lidt. Du startede det forkerte, vel? Du startede... Nej, det har du ikke. Det er rigtigt.
Jeg vil ikke have de her på. Far, jeg gider ikke engang have de her på.
Er du sikker?
Ja, jeg kan godt høre. Ved du, det er her?
Okay.
Prøv. Fordi. Et muso. Jeg hørte telefoner, det var ved at falde ned. Mine høretelefoner. Ved du, det vil også.
Det behøver vi da ikke.
Nej, far, jeg godt. Der var 2.
Vil du ikke have dem på?
Nej, jeg mærkede på dem, men jeg gad ikke at have dem på.
Jeg prøver lige at se, om de virker. Jeg prøver lige at se, om de virker. Hvis de ikke virker, så er det okay.
Nej.
Spil det igen.
Nej. Det ved jeg ikke, hvis du tager dem på. Vil du wait ham? Nej. Den. Jeg kan hente ham. Hallo. What? Kamera her. What? Nej, far. Prøv lige at gå ned på den der igen.
Vent lidt, jeg skal se noget. Der var det.
Yeah! Den har jeg. Jeg vil se, hvor sej de er.
Nu er I spillet.
Okay. Hvad kan? Nej, far, jeg vil ikke have dem på.
Okay. Så skal jeg lige have sat den anden lyd på igen. Her. Vent lidt.
Så. Kig, far, jeg kan godt høre.
Ja.
Yes, good job. Yes, good job. Jeg er politibiler. Ægte politibiler. Kig, Hassel, jeg har min der. Politibil. 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 Og politibil. Jeg vil også have min politibil selv har.
Ja.
Jeg vil have 2.
Ja.
Bedste venner, bedste venner. Jeg vil tage bilen. Kan du fejre det? Fejre med billedet, der fældebilledet.
Ja. Der skal du lige få Falke til at vise, hvad der er for en band, han spiller.
Her er jeg for den politibil. Vi er bedste venner. 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 Jeg var snart af ferie.
Det er jo lidt andet.
Der var også en politibil. Jeg vil kig på politibil. Den er bare mega fed. Nej. What? Har du lyst til at prøve den, Hassel? Ja. Kører den vildt stærkt, tror du? Ja, det tror jeg. En til politibil. Ja. Der kan en vogn på. Er det ikke bare sej? Jeg bliver helt tosset i hovedet. Far,
Ja.
han har en mere.
Nej, det.
Ja. Kig. Kig. Hvis nogen af de her biler kører for stærkt, så betyder det politibiler. Så er der 3. Nej, 2. Jeg tror, der er ikke 3. Nej, der er 2. Men jeg har blå tøj på. Kig. Sådan ser politibiler ud. Hvad er det, du ved, dem du kører hurtigt? Stop your beating, Scott! Stop your beating, Scott! Er det ikke bare sjovt, Hassel? Det er sjovt, Hassel. Okay, sådan er politibil. Jo, det var godt en. Den der nogen stoppede politibilen. Så watch out, der kommer en politibil. Politibil.
Værsgo. Så kommer den.
Jeg vil bare for jeg har en politibil og den anden politibil mere.
Ja. Rikke far, han fik der aldrig nogensinde kaffe.
Men mor, hun prøver at lade. Hvor stadig hen, jeg ved snart med ham døde. Hej døde. Altså, skal jeg tage den her en til at tage politibiler på? Far, hvad er den? Far, hvor bil? Hvor var politibilerne?
Det.
No.
Nu skal vi lige have, vi skal lige få nogle andre baner til dig.
Den samme bane biler. En sej en.
Rikke, hvor kommer vælge den bane, du spiller?
Nej.
Jo, du skal.
Nej.
Ved I hvad, vi skal altså lige prøve noget og se, om det fungerer. Falke, prøv lige at, så kan vi prøve at se, om vi kan spille sammen.
Nej. Jeg gider ikke. Jeg gider ikke at spille med Hassel.
Det kunne da være sjovt, hvis man kunne lege sammen på, hvad det hedder, ude på marken.
Nej. Så skal Hassel køre op på min vogn. Så.
Ja, ja. Men så skulle jeg gå ud.
Nej.
Nå, det er lige meget snak. Vi finder en anden dag, hvor I spiller sammen.
Ja. Det
Ja, så nu er du vælge bane.
Okay. Eller spiller du den her bane? Hvad vælger en bane, som jeg spiller i? Og det er der vælger en bane, som jeg spiller i. Den er der. Sådan der. Nu kan politibilerne komme op. Kom op, politibilerne der. Jeg var den. Bare lidt godt. Politibilen skal herop og køre. Bare lidt på politibilen. Hold nu.
Jo, for
Sådan der.
nu kommer den.
Nej, jeg snipper politibilen.
Jo, jo, du kan, så den kommer nu.
Er det blå politibil, der er der? Au, far.
Åh, den sejt, der politibil, faktisk.
Men den går ikke i stykker. Kig, hvad den kan en morgen på.
Ja. refused Venard's bribe. Nerel. Nerel, is she safe?
Yes.
Det er min politibil. Så kommer politibilen.
Our meeting is no coincidence. I came here to help.
Hun gør det galt, så kommer den her bare og
Give
politibilen.
this to her for me. I should never have
Hvad skal
taken
jeg
it.
lave? Hvad skal jeg lave? Aha, nu ved jeg det.
So dark. I have repented. Do you think I was too late?
No. Not too late. The light has come to carry you home. Do you not see it, friend?
Yes. Yes.
Kig lige, hvor mange politibiler jeg har købt. Dancing. Politibil, der danser lige på tog.
When hit while not healthy, a magical bow is summoned.
Dem skal også køres hjem. Mange politibiler skal køres hjem. Støv. Far. 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 Far.
Ja.
Når jeg kørte op ad en græsflyvehop, så kom jeg op på mit tag, og så ramte ned. Var det ikke bare sejt? Det ligner en politibil, der er en monster truck. En politimonster truck.
Far, han skal lige på toilet.
Yes.
Nu kommer jeg tilbage.
No. Politibilerne, de holder vagt. Hvis nogen kommer og stjæler, så er der mange politibiler. Siger røveren, hvis politibilerne skal sove. En til politibil. Nu er der kun 3 politibiler. I stopped a policeman. Stop it. Barbara, 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 Barbara. Det var sjovt. Barbara, Barbara. Vi har kørt en anden tog. Og gå over. Beep. Jeg prøver igen at lave flyvehoppet. Wow! Holy moly, hvad skete der lige der? En monster politibil. What's a truck saying? La 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 no na 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 na. Oh, she got a barrel, she barrel, just her. I got a barrel butter. I get to start the stove. I down and me on mommy. I see. Ha he ho he. Ha he ha ha he he. No. Yes. Yeah. No, you can lick my ice cream. Nightbullet's beans called there were flower. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. What are on the bullets be today? Yeah. I stopped you, gone it. Yeah, that's Paul Hassel. Who commented? Oh my goodness! Så today Hassel, det var bare fedt. Men vi vandt her i mærkær. Men jeg kører ind på politibil. Jeg kører den ind i lampe, så den fungerer. Og så pludselig, der fungerer den ikke mere. Det er mig. Det er mig, der kører i den. Nu. Stop. Jeg selv, hvis nogen kommer og stjæler min bil, og så står der lige en politibil her og politibiler på den der sidder der. Yeah, jeg elsker at køre i politibiler. Og militær. Wee. Mamma. Står der politi? Nej, der står ikke politi. Politimærket er jo der. Og ikke. Politi. Oh my god. Altså nu begynder det igen at køre hurtigt. Og så begynder det at springe op. Spring my fence. Spring my fence. Police, stop the baby's cars. Stop. Die. Hazel, jeg dytter. I can't. I number you. Wait out. Hey, I'm stuck. Hey, get down. Get down. And der står også en politibil her så. Vi ser en kommer. One police tonight or sorry. Politibiler! You want the West King. politi efter dig, røde bil. You stop the cars. Der er en, der kørte alt for stærkere. Det var den her. Get out your cars now! Get out your cars! Get out your cars! Get out your cars! Get out your cars! Sir, get out your cars! Get out of your cars! Get out of your cars! This tap this way. Oh no! Oh wow! Dandy, stinky. Well, bruh. That's not good. What is it?
Eller fandt den før. Bare nede på Solet. Jeg vil også gå ud og fortælle om det.
Nej.
Jeg ved ikke, hvordan man gør det. Far, der ved det.
Nej, den er over på den. Og den er der. What the heck? No. Not again. I stop this bad guy hvis han kommer. Jeg stopper dem, der er onde. Sådan der. Den skal da vide. Nej, Mikkel. British cosplays. Stop the British turn away. Gå på vej. Mange politibiler igen, jeg kører i. Nu er det de sorte. Okay. Den laver en sej lyd. Det ligner, den kører i racerbane, så.
Sejt. Godt klaret.
Men der kommer alt for mange biler. Jeg tror, den er der ikke.
Nå, men det er fordi, jeg har købt den. Ja. Hov, nu skal vi jo lige have, du skal lige have lavet nogle hvad det hedder, jamen vi kan godt købe den, men du skal have lavet nogle
Skilte.
ja, skilte skal du også lave. Den har du kunne tænke dig.
Vinge. Politibilen er der nu her. Yes!
Der var den. Ja, au.
Kig lige alle politibiler, jeg har, far. Far, kig lige, hvor mange politibiler jeg har. Far, kig lige, hvor mange politibiler jeg har. Far, kig lige, hvor mange.
Hvor mange, men...
Far, jeg vil også. Mange. Jeg vil også, far. Far, jeg vil også. Så skal du købe. Og siger, hvorfor lidt tilliv? Jeg ved det. Det er politilivet. Ja. Hov. Kig herpå. Kigkassen. Nej. Det kan du ikke. Hvorfor lidt tydeligt? Jeg prøver at trykke på nogle af dem, men det virker ikke. Far. Jeg bruger lige sådan en. Far, jeg vil ind, fordi der er mange politibiler, far.
Hvad siger du?
Det står, at der er mange politibiler, ligesom færdig.
Jamen du skal bruge skilte. Du skal bare købe mange politibiler.
Har jeg to nu?
Den køber vi lige den sidste år.
Hvor?
Sådan. Nu kan du købe flere, hvor der er på skilte.
Nej, far. Jeg kan ikke.
Nu skal du trykke på E for at gå ind i den. Nu bliver du ind i den videre, du får. Det er ret, du trykker på E. Nå, sådan der er.
Og hvad kan man politilivet?
Ja, sådan der, så kør.
Hvor kan man politilivet?
Hvordan er det, du trykker på politilyden, Falke?
Den her gør så, man åbner døren der. Men den anden politibil, de hvide nogen, det trykker man på den her, så siger, kommer lyden.
Nå, så prøv lige den videre.
What?
Prøv lige den her, så skal vi se noget her. Det er fordi, du har slukket lyden her. Det er derfor.
Kigkasse. Sådan der. Så kan du bare fange nogen. Hassan, hvis du har lyst. Vil du gerne det? Jeg ser. Der er lidt en der er nogen, der vil sætte herom.
Jo, der er Grins.
Sådan. Nu er det den sidste, så skal jeg ikke kan vinde.
Give me the key to hell. I will not ask again.
Wait. Wait for me.
It's too quiet.
At der kommer en lidt
Where is
sibil.
she?
Jeg har ikke slukket for lyden.
Is that him? Is that Rathma?
Kig, jeg har ikke slukket for lyden. Kan du høre lyden? Nej, du har slukket for lyden. Du har slukket for lyden. Nej! Nej!
Falke.
Han siger, jeg har ikke slukket lyden.
Nej, men Falke, ved du hvad, så snakker man pænt, ikke?
Nej, det gør jeg ikke. For
Nej,
det
men
er-
hvis ikke man snakker pænt, ved du så, hvad der sker?
Jeg ved det godt.
Altså computeren, ved du hvad den gør?
Jeg ved det godt.
Den flyver over til naboen.
Nej, det gør den ikke.
Sådan det.
I don't
Nej, det
know
gør
if
den
you
ikke.
would have
Falke, eller
chosen
så kom over
to
og kør.
stand beside me.
Nej, det gider jeg ikke.
Nå, okay, så sluk computeren.
Nej.
But I would have saved your place. Just the same. And now, all that you might have been has been stolen from me.
Det er sjovt at køre.
Stolen.
Like, I like this.
This key unlocks more than the doors of hell. It unlocks our path to the future. A future made possible because of the price you paid. Your sacrifice will not have been in vain.
I like this. Men militær. Den er kørt stærkt. Stop shooting me.
Your dad was smart, and they're not going to understand how smart he was. And I want to give you a quick story. I was living with a Russian woman, and I already spoke Russian conversationally when I began the Air Force training to learn Russian. Your father knew nothing. You know, the alphabet didn't know nothing. And within 2.5 weeks, he was correcting everybody, including the professor on Russian. So, like, he just read the dictionary. I saw my dad sit there and read a dictionary. Just read it. And that was it.
Yeah.
It's like photographic memory. Like
He was on a spectrum.
Yeah.
Something else going on.
Yeah, something.
With a little X-Men.
Emery Tate was his name, and everyone called him E.T.
He was tough on you.
He was certainly tough on me, and I can't express enough how grateful I am for that. We live in a world now where I'm going to say that my dad hit me when I made a mistake, and everyone's going to lose their minds. And they're going to pretend I was somehow abused and that somehow my childhood was terrible. And I could not thank. If he was come down to earth today, I would shake his hand and say thank you for absolutely everything you did, including discipline, including understanding that in the harsh realities of the real world there is a line, and if you cross that line, violence appears. That's the unfortunate reality of Earth. There's a line, And if you cross it, violence will appear, either from a cop or from a guy on the street or from someone you don't like, or even a friend will turn on you, whatever. There's a line that shouldn't be crossed, and I learned that from a very young age, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm not sitting here saying a kid should be abused. There's a difference between abuse and discipline, of course. Everyone with a brain understands that, but he was extremely tough on me. And if I could change anything about my childhood, I'd only wish he was tougher. Because life's tough, life's hard. And I think that the best thing you can possibly do as a man is prepare for the endless difficulty that's gonna come your way. There's no way out as a man. You're either gonna have a very difficult life to become somebody important, or you're gonna suffer the difficulty of being invisible. What do you wanna do? You wanna be invisible and just hide and work in Starbucks and never have a girlfriend who truly loves you and nobody care if you live or die? Or do you wanna go out there and be top G and be the most famous man in the world and have government agencies trying to lock you up for no reason, putting you in a dungeon? You have to make a choice. It's gonna be difficult either way. So I think if you have a son and you're not preparing him for absolute difficulty, you're doing him a disservice. I think that's what has to happen as a man. And I've said this many times before, but I'm gonna say it again. I don't think many people understand exactly how competitive the masculine world is. Men are constantly in competition with each other. We always have been. We used to go to war and fight and kill each other. I guess in some places we still do. Maybe that's calmed down a little bit. But in the masculine world of today, everybody is constantly competing for everything. The car that you want, other people want. The woman you want, other people want. The house you want, other people want. You're competing to have all of it. And how do you do that? You do that through status and money and influence and power. It's war. I don't think many women realize that when two men even meet each other for the first time, it's like an unspoken, maybe tiny bit at the back of the mind, there's a tiny analysis of, could I fight this man?
Yes.
That's real. It's super real. You go up and say, hello. He's more than a one-punch issue. It's it. Oh, he's one punch. He's one punch. He's 3 or 4. That's the reality of the masculine world, because we've evolved, if you believe in evolution, but my views are mixed, but we've evolved to be in this position where we're constantly analyzing possible threats, and we're constantly analyzing people who perhaps are on our team, or snakes, etc. And I think that not many people understand exactly how brutally competitive the masculine world is. And I think the worst thing you can do for a son is just to raise him in a bubble. My dad, I'll say it here, people lose their minds. My dad used to just randomly push me over. I'd be like 3. He just said, not hard, but just get up, boy, okay? And Mom would be like, why are you doing that, son? He's like, you get pushed over, that's life. My mom hated that she did that to me. But yeah, I can give him nothing but praise. I'm really so thankful I had the upbringing I had.
Do you think he's proud of you?
I'm certain he's proud of me. And it's amazing how much strength I can get from him. It's amazing how much strength you can get from knowing that your ancestors looking down on you and you're doing your absolute best. I also believe that God can be proud of you when you do your absolute best. And I don't think many people genuinely do their best in the world anymore. When I say do your best, people sit and go, oh yeah, okay. No, when's the last time you actually did your best? Like, I don't train to run marathons, but I know if I gave my best, I could run a marathon right now, first try. If I gave my best, life depending on it. When's the last time people have genuinely given their best to anything? There are people going through the world and going through life today that don't give their best or 100% effort to anything, ever. Ever. They can't even remember the last time they tried. So when I'm sitting in a dungeon, or I'm sitting in a Romanian jail cell, I understand that it is a chance that God has given me and my ancestors are watching for me to do my absolute best and to show to them that I am the man I say I am. You can't become the most famous man in the world for mental resilience and God not test your mental resilience. I think that would be a very amateur way to view the world, that you can now become one of the most famous men in the world who talks about mental discipline and mental resilience and God's not. I think God's gonna come along and say, okay, you want to be Mr. Famous. All right, let's see what you have. So I believed it was a chance to show God and show my ancestors and
Vigo wanted you to have this. Right, Gita.
No, Ral. She came. Didn't. Inarius. We could.
And show my father that I am the man I say I am. And it's amazing how much strength you can draw from that, because I don't think many men especially understand that even if you don't have the strength to be a hero for yourself, you should have enough discipline and enough honor to want to be a hero for somebody else. And if you have other people you truly respect, you should want to be a hero for them. And I think that's the masculine imperative. If someone's going to attack your wife, that's when you become a hero for her. You have to. What kind of man are you if you're not? And you can apply that to other things. If you apply that to your ancestors, or you apply that to God, or you apply that to your beliefs or your core principles as a man, then you can be a hero anytime you want. So
it's so funny that you say that, because it really does. Everything goes back to biology. I think about this all the time. No matter how much sociology is behind everything, telling men to act like women and women to act like men. At the end of the day, women want a masculine man, and when they don't have a masculine man and they beat their man into submission, they're not attractive anymore. It's the tail in between. Yeah. It's just not attractive anymore. And I used to make me think of this boyfriend that I had when you were talking about, just defending the realm, the sort of responsibility that men have. And I remember sitting there realizing that I had to break up with him, because I thought that if somebody burst through the door with a gun, I was going to have to be the one that would have to defend us, because he was just such a flower.
100%.
And it's in society is yet blaring at men to do the opposite. And
they're trying to confuse us.
This is why I think you have a platform. This is my whole theory that I built in my head about why you have a platform, is because Lena Dunham came before you, right? And I think that for years, men were told to act like sissies. Yeah. Men were told to put your tail between your legs. That was the message, the agreed upon message that came with, Hillary Clinton running, the Me Too, all of these things where men were basically told that if you have a masculine instinct, you're guilty.
Yep.
And then, inevitably, because there is an equilibrium in this world, yep, because there was Lena Dunham's, because there was Taylor Swift, because there was the Girl Squads, yep, eventually, what would have to happen was that it was going to have to be evened out by someone saying, no, F that, be a man.
Yeah, and I don't feel guilty for being a man, and I don't think any man should.
No, I don't think so either.
And I think that the most annoying thing about all of this is just how genuinely hypocritical it is. Because there's all this feminine movement, and we don't need men, and men don't matter, etc. That's only
too many. It's a agreed upon message that men suck.
Absolutely, and it's only in the most favorable possible circumstances where females will say that. And that's what's so disingenuous about it. As soon as things actually begin to get hard, the closer we get to the realities of life, the closer we get to the unfortunate circumstances of the world, and they exist in many places, the faster you will see people look for traditional masculinity to protect them. So it's not even like it's a genuine belief. That's what's so upsetting about it, that it's just, I don't know if these people are delusional or if they're deliberately hypocritical. I'm not sure which one it is.
I think they're brainwashed. I think it's a two-pronged approach. I think it's the cultural messaging, and also in the education system, they're actively learning that this feminism is what you need to aspire towards. Like when you get out of school, women, you should want to compete with men and climbing the corporate ladder. I actually think there's a mass brainwash that's taking place.
Oh, completely. They want to neuter men. And the way you do that is to empower women to a point where they're now the dominant power, especially in the Western world. I believe we live in a matriarchy. I don't believe it's a patriarchy like we're told it is. I actually believe it's the other way around. I can't think of a single law that benefits men over women, but I can certainly think of some that benefit women over men. I think it's very dangerous to be a man in the world today. I think that if women want to destroy a man, it's extremely easy to do. We can look at my current scenario and situation I'm in, and many other men are in the same scenario. I can't think of many examples of a man falsely accusing a woman of something and her losing her entire life, where I can certainly think of ones the other way around. So, yeah, they want to turn men into eunuchs because their intention is to make us all slaves. And I say that, and it rolls off my tongue, and people just hear it, and they don't actually think about what I'm saying. Their intention is to turn men into eunuchs because they want to make us all slaves. I want you to actually understand exactly what I'm saying to you, because at the bottom line of revolution has always been young military-age males, and they don't want them to have enough balls or enough forward thinking or even enough care for anything outside of themselves to do something about it. Another thing people don't understand is that a lot of these attacks and a lot of things they're trying to do with the culture, especially, they're trying to inject such innate selfishness inside of people that they don't really care about anything that happens outside of themselves. Because then it's very difficult to give a shit about your community. It's very difficult to have any kind of genuine care about your town or your country or an issue. No, they just want you to be self-absorbed, semi-depressed, because depressed people don't fight that hard, watching porn, living inside of your own mind, convinced that somehow you're oppressed for some reason on the internet typing tweets. That's what they want you to do. And they're going to try and keep you there. And genuine masculinity, yeah, to a degree it's protective, and to a degree also it has parameters. You can't be a man who doesn't say no. You can't be a man who doesn't have standards for himself and for people around him. I'm got labeled as ultra misogynistic because I believe that a man should have standards in his relationship. I believe a man should avoid dishonest people, male and female. You should avoid, if you're a dishonest person, if you lie, if you're going to deceive me, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I was sitting talking on a panel show saying that women who are dishonest and promiscuous are not the kind of woman I'd ever want to associate with. And I was labeled misogynistic for that. So it's crazy how they'll attack you, and they'll attack you so violently and so endlessly and repeat it so many times in a bid to beat your soul down. That's what they want, especially from me. I truly believe I'm the number one.
I'm not ready yet. 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 I'm not ready yet.
I need time to do that.